Today's guest on the Goonery, Sam Baxter from We Won the Internet, a podcast I stumbled across on Instagram. With that being said, this would be the part where I have an intro jam, still waiting for Dan to create it, but that's going to take a few minutes. So just ignore this, and now we can start the podcast. Sam, my man, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Welcome to the Goonery.
Thank you. I like that backdrop. Looks pretty nice. It's almost as sweet as mine.
Yeah, we had a little technical difficulty. Couldn't get his logo up there. We Won the Internet stood out to me. Got to tell us the story. Like what?
Well, so my partner and I, so I'm Sam Baxter, Logan Marks. We did another podcast before this called The Strange Podcast, and we did a lot of creepy stuff. And we had a lot of followers, and it was really good. We had a good time. We did it for about a year and a half, about 76 episodes, and we finally called it good about a year ago. We said, we need to take some time off. We kind of revamped. We took summer off, came back, it's like, let's do more comedy, because we did a lot of comedy before as well. And we found out that, hey, people like the comedy as well, but they also still like the horror. So we would get a lot of requests like, hey, why aren't you guys doing the horror stuff? Some of the people were like, hey, I'm sorry, you guys are good, but we don't like the comedy, we want the horror. So we added it to
Like
the end of our show.
HORROR horror?
Yes, horror. Yeah,
okay.
like
Horror. Scary.
Yeah, not horrors. Horror. Nothing wrong with horrors, but yeah. So we did a lot of like cryptozoology, Bigfoot type of weird type of talk, unknown, chupacabra type things, and so we started that back up. Unknown weird mysteries, and people are still liking it. They love that shit, and even our old podcast, we're still getting a lot of downloads on that. We haven't even posted on that in over about a year, and we're still getting like mass downloads.
What's your old podcast?
It was called The Strange Podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a real simple name. It was that was our first show we did, and it was really fun, and it was a lot of good things. There's a lot of weird, creepy things out there on the internet, and a lot of creepy things that we would hear growing up, story wise in our backgrounds, and so we would talk about those things and let people
like
know
ghost stories.
Yeah, stuff like that. Especially in Mexican culture, we get a lot of things like that. There's a lot of.
I was just down in Cabo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds. Cabo's pretty nice. That's an Americanized place, though. It's not.
Yeah.
You go to the side streets, you'll see some shit, but you ain't gonna see that in Cabo on the main part.
Yeah, we ventured down a couple side streets, but didn't stray too far. Is that like Day of the Dead stuff you're referring to?
No, like La Llorona, that type of stuff. Have you ever heard of that?
I don't know.
So that was basically like, she's known as the Weeping Woman, and so the story with her was, there's always different variants.
Maybe I've heard that.
Yeah, you've probably heard of that. There was a movie that just came out of that about a year or two ago, and it's basically she drowned her children, and now she's looking for them. And so every time by water, this is always a story that our parents would tell us. Hey, stay, you need to go to bed early because La Llorona will get you. And if you hear crying, she's looking for you. She's going to get you. She's going to bring you into the water with you. So, this shit like that would freak us out. But we would have a lot of things like that in culture. And so for me, it always resonated. It always like stuck with me. Dreams, stuff like that.
Okay, so kind of the paranormal or scary stories is the inspiration behind the We Won the Internet.
Yeah, I mean, it was, well, we did comedy as well on the other one. Like I said, we would start out with news, like funny news. We'd always stay away from anything political, and that's not our shtick. So keeping it straight, comedy, and talk about things that happen with us at work or funny people that we dealt with. We always give information about that, and we had a good time with that. But then we would get to the horror type of aspect, and so that's what also brought We Won the Internet. It's like, let's do more comedy. A lot of people like that, but people like both, so it's hard. We're kind of a weird show. We do funny, and we do like weird, anomalies.
Yeah, I listened to one of your episodes, and I saw something about the dark web after hours.
Yeah, that's keeping in line with the Strange podcast, talking about, odd stuff, people that almost die, or people like our last one before this was people that survived the horrific events just to die like a week later from something else. Somebody averts a plane crash and dies in a car wreck like 2 days later. I talk about things like that where it's just kind of like amazing. Like, this is like, you almost can't make this shit up. You want to, but you can't. You
Oh,
know, gov-
okay.
government
Okay.
experiments on general population. I talked about stuff like that.
So
Um,
you kind of want to get down to the truth.
I like all that stuff, man. I'm all over the place. I like all these good things like that.
What's your biggest mind-blowing story that you have heard?
I think to me was the stuff that I think I'm not really easily freaked out with things, but I think hearing about children that disappear in the woods, a bunch of stories of children that are like 2 years old to like 5 years old, they disappear, and if they find them, they usually find them about 15 to 20 miles away, like maybe a day later, traversing canyons, going up hills, places that they can't be found, that they shouldn't be able to cross. They get past rivers, and if they find them, just by luck, if they find them, they're always clean, not dirty, no dirty even under their fingernails. The clothes, like, they might be just in their underwear, and they die from the elements, natural elements, because it's cold out there, right? But they find their clothes, like, maybe sometimes folded up next to them, their bodies that are dead. It's just weird things like that. Being out in the forest, I feel like there's some shit out there that we don't know about, and there's some creatures or some stuff that there's a lot of stories about that, and to me that kind of creeps me out, because you're kind of like, think of being in the ocean. You can't really do much if you're in the water in the ocean. You're kind of like a sitting duck, and I feel like you might be that way in a forest as well. Somebody could creep up on you and you wouldn't really know it, right?
Yeah. Sorry, what, which ones do you like believe in? Or what do you think we need to know, or like we don't know that like you suspect?
Like conspiracy wise or like folklore?
Maybe one of each.
So conspiracy, I feel like governments doing, testing on the population, general population. I feel like that's something that's true. I mean, there's actual proof of that, of government doing things without people knowing. You even got like the Tuskegee experiment. About those black um, pilots that they gave them syphilis just to see what would happen if they had it, and they wouldn't let them get cured.
Whoa. What happened?
So it was basically a regiment of pilots. It was like a black pilots. There was like about, I don't remember the exact number of them, but there was maybe about 20 of them or something, that they gave them syphilis. The government, the Air Force gave
Which
them syphilis.
which government? Ours?
United States. And this was like, in the 40s, and they gave them syphilis, and they made sure that they got it and their families got it, and they wouldn't let them get a cure. And they were just like, oh no, this is just inoculations. And they wanted to see what would happen to your body with syphilis as time went on. Like, what are the,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, wasn't that? Yeah, I guess that was more practice than the concentration camps in Germany, right? Like
oh,
experimenting on humans.
um, yeah, that was, I mean, obviously those were really bad too, but yeah, they did. They also, I think, with some of that, unfortunately, a lot of the people, rest their souls, they died
Mm-hmm.
with experiments as well. They were figuring out things. The Germans were really into figuring stuff out, and um, it's sad that they did that to the Jews, how they killed thousands of them. But no, this was more like a test, like a government just
That
experiment. Like, hey,
sounds pretty fucked up.
it is, man. It's not cool. Um, so I think government experiments that have been known, and we've heard of the government lying to us, like to get into wars, um, stuff like that.
Well,
I think
I gotta
is
ask, what's your take on the coronavirus?
you know I'm trying to keep positive. I mean, we're here in the Pacific Northwest, right? So we have a lot of people that have it. I think I feel worried for the elderly because a lot of them have died. You see that in Kirkland, a lot of them have died. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say it's a type of conspiracy at all. I know there's a lot of people saying, I've been reading like, oh yeah, this could be population control, lead to the one world type government, kill off so much percentage and leave this much left. I don't know. I think uh, it it stemmed from China, and a lot of the Chinese. You see a lot of the pictures and the videos. They're just like all over each other. You see those stores, their markets are at,
Yeah.
and they just like have whatever. They'll put like chickens on top of bats or on top of ferrets, and those things can have known to can cross contaminate or give the disease that they have to each other. And so you just kind of keep mixing that, and then they feed it to humans. I think eventually something's going to come out of that, and that's what we got with this. I mean,
Yeah. So you're not thinking any foul play, just bad, wrong time, wrong place.
I think there was just a lot of there's too much in one place, and there's not enough cleanliness there. I mean, like China, they got millions of people there, and they're all over each other in the cities. The cities are just like packed. I mean, you see all that smog they have. Like it's like really dangerous there. Like they're just. I mean, look how they're expanding to Africa. You see that? They're trying to take over Africa. They're just trying to.
Yeah.
they're slowly, quietly doing that. They're too big for that land they have. There's too many of them, and I think that the disease, was born there and it festered there. So now everybody else is getting it. But
Do you ever get into topics on your show of like why viruses exist in the first place?
no, not really. I mean, because I think that viruses might exist because we also make them. The CDC creates things, right? There's some things that are pretty potent that I hear that are in there. So no, I don't. I haven't really delved into too much or anything like that. Um, I think that it's like swine flu we had 10 years ago. These things kind of creep up every so often, and I think the best way to do is sadly is the isolation. I don't know how you're dealing with it, but I think it kind of sucks. I can't.
Yeah, just drinking and podcasting.
Yeah, I mean, but you can't like go hang out with your buddies at the bar or go to a restaurant. It's everything shut down. Can't go to the movies.
Yeah, we just got online video games.
I know. I don't thank goodness for that, huh? Keep introverts happy, happier.
Yeah, honestly, glad I made the switch to introvertism a few years ago.
Yeah, you saw the curve, man. You were smart.
You're a P&W guy,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What? Well, Bigfoot, right? That's a big one.
Bigfoot's a big one, man. There's a lot of stories about that around here.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories around here about that. What do you think? You think it's real?
Oh man. I want to be a believer, but it's just hard for me to fully commit without just a little bit more evidence.
I agree. I agree. I think it's
I want to believe.
hmm I agree. I know what you mean, man. It's until I see something concrete, I think I can't believe it yet. But I think they make great stories, and there's a lot of shows about them, and a lot of people swear by it. So, I mean, I like same with UFOs. I haven't seen any, but I do want to see them.
Oh, do you guys get into UFOs, aliens?
Yes, we have a little bit. Hard thing about that is it's really common. There's too many things to really talk about. We try to hit things that are a little less common, a little more odd and quirky and weird. So, there's always
So
things that you can talk about.
what what does the world need to know about this? Just not the spotlight's just not on it.
Oh, um, there's there was one where we talked about where like mass disappearances, like towns, whole people disappearing, just gone out of nowhere. Did you see that movie in the late '90s called Phantoms? Had like Ben Affleck in it and Rose McGowan, but it was basically they showed up at the town and everybody was gone. They just like you saw like things like maybe like cars left running and but nobody was around, and so they ended up finding out that there was like a worm that has been alive for like 500 years, over thousands of years. That was big enough that every once in a while it would have to eat, and it just ate up the whole town. And they would find like remnants, like maybe gold and jewels, like piles of it. Like basically the worm had like excreted it, right, to
Whoa.
because it couldn't eat that, right? But there's just other stories like that of happening around the world where civilizations, whether it be like 500 people in a village in Brazil to like people up north, like in Alaska or in Canada, just disappearing. Somebody shows up, like they went out trapping, they come back, everyone's gone, and there's nowhere for them to go, and there's no mass exodus. It's almost like the Mayans, how the Mayans just disappeared. Now
Where'd
they're
they
saying,
go?
well, the Mayans are saying now what happened to them is they cut down too many trees, which didn't allow uh, rain to come anymore. They basically created a drought. So they had to slowly disperse. They slowly died out, right? Without water, you're gonna die. This is what I've been reading, that I've been hearing about. That's what
I've
happened to
read
the
that
Mayans.
too.
Yeah. So either that or they got on a UFO alien ship and fucking bailed. I don't know.
Oh shit.
It's totally possible. I mean, those guys, the Mayans, were pretty intelligent. They had mathematics going pretty well, and they
Yeah, they had that calendar that had everyone freaking out in
yeah.
2012.
did you, did you sell your house in 2011 or
I
something?
was just in an apartment, but I wanted to get up at like I heard it was like 3 or 5 in the morning. That was supposed to be like the exact time, but I slept
Yeah.
through it. I was too drunk.
Yeah, it was those guys were pretty impressive though. They had some good mathematics, and they had a lot of things that we barely know now that they had, and that was hundreds of years ago, man. That's crazy.
What about the pyramids? That's one of the biggest ones in my opinion.
Pyramids are a real bit odd. There's also like places like there's like other pyramids around the world that people don't really talk about. And there's also one like in China that they think that the government is hiding. It's basically looks like it's grass all over it. You can like see pictures of it, and it looks like a pyramid, but it's covered with grass. And they're like, no, it's just a hill. But they think the government has it hidden in China,
Hmm.
where they don't want anybody in. They don't let anybody near there. They don't let any. It's for some reason that's off limits. But um, the pyramids, there's a lot of weird things with that. Did you
Well,
ever hear
yeah,
of that?
it's like really heavy. All those stones, they're like 80 tons or some shit.
So did you ever hear of the a guy named Edley Skolnin, the Coral Castle? You know the Coral Castle stuff down in Florida. There's
No.
there's basically a like a little place to go visit, and this guy, he was like in the 30s, in the 1930s, 19 he is able to move these slabs of coral. He was able to move them on his own, and nobody knew how he did it. And the way people are like, oh, he could have got a crane, but the thing is that's odd is like the coral's in the ground, right? It's in the rock, but you can cut like a square in the ground, right? Like think of you cutting a piece of cake, right? But how are you going to get the bottom out? How are you going to get the bottom of that rock out? Somehow that guy was able to cut it even through the bottom under the slab of rocks, make perfect cuts. And he made like sundials, he made doors, he made a bunch of things, and a bunch of like little like statues and things out of coral rock that were like tons heavy. Himself, this one guy that was like 140 pounds, and he was able to move all this stuff, and he wouldn't let anybody know. He said it was all with magnetism. That's how everything can be done. That's how
Oh,
everything can be moved. But he had like a machine where it was like made out of garbage, like just parts of like bike pedal and all this stuff, and you would turn it and it would create electricity. He was able to, it's like he knew the secrets of the planet. They would make a lot of these gas companies obsolete.
damn. Yeah.
And at one point they said he tried to share it, and they didn't. Some goons came and kicked his ass and told him to shut the fuck up.
Ooh, goons mentioned on the Goonery.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Oh man, what a day. Um, yeah. So yeah, I'm a big physics guy. I don't know if you dive dive down that rabbit hole at all, but do you?
I don't know a lot of physics.
Okay.
Physics was my worst subject in school.
Oh, okay. Just yeah, it's definitely interesting. So are you like big what's the vision for We Won the Internet?
I think that's the thing. We're still tinkering around with it, but I think the vision is comedy. We want to bring people happiness and joking and laughing and um, just a bunch of just entertain, and I don't want to say educate because I can't prove that everything's real that I talk about, right? But it's fun. It's fun to talk about. Just like half the shit now, some of you guys might listen and they're gonna probably call me some hack. You know, I'm not claiming all this is real. I'm just telling you shit I read. You know, I'm not. I'm not.
Doesn't even show his face.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's you go to our website, you can see our pictures there, man. You see, you can see how we. That's how we roll, man.
What do you
We
look
just
like?
um Mexican. Does that help?
A little bit, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. You were in Mexico. You saw. Just don't tell Donald Trump though. Just,
Okay.
just but no. I think what we want to do is a lot of comedy. We like to joke around. It's just me and my cousin, and we grew up together, and we have a lot of stories, and we figure why not. That's what makes a lot of things funny is telling like funny, good stories that you had with somebody that you can share with others. I
Want
think
to
that's what. I think that's what's
entertain the
fun.
masses. Yeah,
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about. That's why you're doing it, right?
exactly. It's here to bring you laughter in these tumultuous times.
They fucking are weird, aren't they?
Yeah.
Uh,
But it is interesting, you know. I I see all the questionable stuff where, there's not evidence for one way or the other. It makes you question it.
I know. Is it even valid? Are these people making things up in their moment of fear? Right? We don't know this
Yeah.
stuff. It's totally possible. It's totally possible. Um, my cousin's more of a skeptic on the show. I'm more of the believer. I'm the one who wants to believe this shit. You know, like I said, like you said, Bigfoot. Everyone talks about it, but until I see it, I'm not gonna tell you that he's true. I will tell you stories about him, but I won't tell you that he's true because I can't really. I don't have any hard evidence. Nobody. I mean, I don't know who does.
That video, probably know which one I'm talking about. Is that real? My friend's
The
pretty convinced.
the
The like
Patterson.
famous, yeah,
So I talked about that.
where he's like walking like this or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I talked about it because a while back, like many years ago, I was going to school with a friend, and his stepdad was from California, and he was telling us that that was bullshit. He said that they set that up. He was there, and he said that they set that up. They got all that stuff together, and they did it, and they acted like they had talked about only the two people that were Patterson film. Only those two were there, but there was like five other guys there that all did that together. They were all camping and drinking that weekend, and they said, "Let's fucking make this." And
Yeah, it sounds like some good old fashioned goonery.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
again, he could have been lying to us, right? He could have been, but these are just things that are interesting to talk about, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What's your take on 9/11? That's
Oh man, that's a tough one, man. I don't want to say anything without pissing people off, but it seems like there could have been some thermite in there. You know how some of that metal just kind of burned.
yeah.
I mean, people were saying, well, the jet fuel is hot enough to burn, but it seemed like there was also thermite. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a physics person. I can't really explain how the buildings came down pretty imploded on themselves. I don't know how to explain that stuff. I have seen like buildings kind of burn in the past, and sometimes they come in on themselves. Sometimes they fall off to the side, right? Whichever part burns and it falls, tips over. But I don't know. I could see it being because after that we went to Iraq for some reason. If it was supposed to be the guy from Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden, I don't know why we went to Iraq. I mean, George is George Senior had went to Iraq and didn't finish his mission. So was it Junior's way of getting back in there? I don't know, man. I could totally see it. That could be some Goonery, man, right there.
Oh man. Wait, did you provide one that we all don't know about, but maybe should?
Some type of like stories.
Yeah, is there like the ones that you highlight on your podcast that like what's something we could learn from you right now?
Well, here's one that I don't really hear about. I talked about was about people who actually get
Yeah, I think
revenge on.
we went on a tangent, so I had some more questions about it. Like, well, I guess yeah. Where do they go? Did aliens take them or?
No, I was actually gonna say like people who would get revenge like on rapists. I talked about something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, there was one where I talked about like cases of that where actually people they know that justice isn't gonna serve them, and they ended up killing or getting the people back. One guy, his daughter gets raped. He ends up beating the guy to death. Feels bad about it. Calls the cops. It's in Texas. The cops like, hey man,
Was
you're
it Liam Neeson?
no, no. Liam Neeson is he's never called by the cops, so he's. I only saw that first movie, and I felt like after I saw that first movie, I didn't need to see the second two. I just, just like it's like how many times did that stupid daughter get taken, man?
Yeah, the first one was hella good, and
It
the
was.
sequels are just never better.
I just forwent them, man. I didn't want to do it. It's like Star Wars,
Oh, there's some fun Star Wars fan theories. Are there any that I know we're tangenting at this point, but
Jar Jar Binks being a Sith.
oh, I love that one.
That
Yeah,
one is so good.
yeah.
It's the thing that sucks about people making all these videos is then the Star Wars people, they couldn't use them, right? They're like, oh, we can't, these are such good stories, but we can't use them. We're gonna have to make some really fucked up stuff that will have Luke Skywalker die, and all
Wait,
this
why couldn't they use them?
because they don't want people. It'd be like you predicting it, right? You make a video and you think, oh, Jar Jar is going to be the Sith, and then it comes out later that it is, and then be like, oh, look, see, the Goonery knew this, and then you'll get credit, and then you could be like, hey, maybe I can
Wait,
sue.
that shit influences production?
Yeah, yeah, they watch all that shit, and then they'll be like, no, we can't
Whoa.
use this. Yeah, we can't use
Oh,
this.
is that why
Yeah.
Game of Thrones sucks so bad? Because all the good ideas were taken?
Uh, yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, because yeah, there's so much fan, theories that they had to watch all that stuff, and then they don't want to make it anyone to be right, right? They wanted to just blow everyone's mind away. So now they have to blow it away with something really stupid, and then everyone's like, "Fuck this,"
I thought they knew like ahead of time, like what they're gonna do.
So some of them do, but like again, the theories of Jar Jar's after, right? But remember, everyone was. I don't know if you remember if you were how young you were when the first episode 1 came out, but everyone was pissed off at Jar Jar. You remember that?
Yeah, he sucked.
Yeah, everyone.
He
But
was
but
no
if
Chewbacca.
no, but I mean, but if he would have came out as being a Sith, could you imagine how your mind would have been blown just like hearing that Vader was his father?
Right.
It would have been like, holy shit, like it totally. Oh my god, all these
Oh
you'll watch
shit.
it
It
again.
makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
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 Look at all the clues and uh, what can you
Yeah,
do?
yeah. I think we pine for that. A good twist.
Good twist is good, but don't be like M Night Shyamalan where your twist gets so fucked up. Just like, man, I don't care
Yeah,
anymore.
what? Yeah,
Yeah, I
not
was like,
believable.
yeah, this is dumb. Like I'm done. So I don't know if you're a Shyamalan fan, but he's he's
Yeah,
done me dirty.
I like signs.
I just had a problem with that, that those people come into a planet that's 3/4 water, and they're there's this, they can't handle water. Like, what kind of physics is that? Like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like us. It's like us invading a hydrochloric acid planet. Their bodies are 3/4 hydro or 90% hydrochloric acid. So
Yeah, it's a little corny.
that's what I'm saying. The creepy aspect was
Yeah,
good, but
yeah.
uh, nah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give that to you. It's like, wow, there's so much potential and like everything's so good. And then like
And wait a minute, you
actual,
think about it.
yeah, the actual plot twist is like satire.
Yeah, I was like, oh god.
Yeah,
So
just.
That did me bad. So what do you think? Do you have any ideas about the virus, the coronavirus? Are you?
I don't know. From what I know about viruses, they're just part of
Life.
human nature, life.
Yeah.
And we gotta battle it sooner than later. It's just
Always
our
do.
number one enemy right now is the coronavirus.
Yeah, indeed it is. That's a big one right now. Like I said, swine flu was 10 years ago, so who knows what'll be here in 10 years.
Yeah, but it's really gonna fuck up the economy.
It's like I said, everything's closing, right? It's not cool. It's not cool at all.
Yeah. So I always wonder, you hear the stories about anarchy and apocalypse, and when they start canceling sports, you do it's hard to not get worried.
Yeah, that was a tough one, man. I mean, it's good thing it's not football season right now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Kind of a coincidence that it isn't football season, though.
I know, huh? Well, hey, I'm not gonna miss the Mariners. I haven't watched them in a long time. So.
Yeah, they're not very good.
They haven't been good for like 20 years.
Yeah. Terrible. All right. And then, okay. So one last time, anything you didn't, get to plug on about your podcast?
Like I said, just give us a shot. We won the internet with Sam and Logan. We just two cousins, talking about life, funny,
did you guys
comedy.
Did you guys win the internet?
We usually do on Thursday when we record it. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we do that day at least. The rest of the time, I'm not winning shit.
What does winning the internet look like?
Have you ever met a chick that was like super hot, and you're like, I don't got a chance with her, and then she ends up giving you a blowjob by the end of the night?
Whoa.
Yeah, man,
It's like that.
It's fantastic. It's a great feeling. And you're like, and then she cooks you a steak right after, and then she says you can stay and leave when you want, and you're like, fuck, this is great. No, I don't have to like worry. I don't have to be anything. And she just wants to fuck you all the time. That's just kind of what it is. It feels good. It feels really
That's awesome.
good.
Sounds almost too good to be true.
It is, man. That's why it only happens once a week.
Yeah. The opposite of rest on one day.
Yep.
Rest for 6 days.
Yep. Just the one day, man. That hot chick wants your attention. That's how it is.
Right on. All right, Sam Baxter, everyone, with We Won the Internet podcast.